Hello, my name is Doug Greenberg, President of Pinnacle Wealth Advisory, and here's August's 4 slides in 4 minutes. The global economy is showing some interesting trends right now. We're seeing persistent growth across major economies supported by better financial conditions and stronger manufacturing activity. However, the overall global environment is becoming more diverse, with different regions experiencing varied economic phases. In the US, for instance, we see a mix of mid cycle growth, where the economy is still expanding, but not at the rapid pace of an early recovery and late cycle characteristics, which suggests that the economy is nearing its peak and could head towards a slowdown. Large developing economies like India, Mexico, and Brazil are also showing mid cycle dynamics, indicating solid growth, but with potential headwinds ahead. On the other hand, Japan and Europe are firmly in the late cycle, meaning their economies are more mature and might soon face downturns. Canada is beginning to show signs of recession risks, which is a worrying signal of possible economic contraction. China, meanwhile, is facing continued ongoing challenges as it tries to recover from a prolonged period of slower growth. Understanding where these economies are in the business cycle is crucial because it influences everything from government policy to investor behavior. When economies are in different phases of the cycle, it affects global trade, investment flows, and even the stability of financial markets. For investors and policymakers alike, recognizing these trends helps in making informed decisions, whether it's about allocating resources, adjusting interest rates, or planning for future economic conditions. By keeping an eye on these cycles, we can better anticipate changes in the global economy, prepare for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. In July, we saw inflation continuing to be a concern, though it's showing signs of slowing down. The core consumer price index, which excludes the more unpredictable costs of food and energy, went up by 0.17 from the previous month, which was expected. This increase was driven by rising costs in areas like car insurance and rent, even as prices for used cars and airfares fell. Over the past year, the core CPI rose by 3.17%, which is slightly lower than last month, indicating that inflation is easing a bit, but it's still something to keep an eye on. The overall CPI, which includes all items, also rose by 0.15%, with energy prices holding steady and food prices creeping up a little. Looking at these numbers, it's clear that while inflation is cooling off somewhat, we're still seeing higher costs in key areas that affect everyday living. This balancing act between rising and falling prices reflects the mixed economic environment we're in, where some costs are stabilizing while others continue to climb. It's a reminder that while the economy is navigating through these changes, consumers are still feeling the impact on their wallets. In July, the services sector of the US economy showed positive signs by moving back into expansion after a dip in June. The ISM Services Index, which is a key measure of economic health in the industry, rose to 51.4, indicating growth. Any reading above 50 indicates growth. This increase was stronger than expected, driven by a rise in business activity, new orders, and employment, all of which moved back into expansionary territory. This is good news because it suggests that while growth is slowing, the economy is not heading into a recession. The employment component of the index was particularly notable, reaching its highest level in almost a year, indicating that businesses are hiring again. Additionally, the S&P Global Services PMI, another important measure, was slightly revised down from its preliminary reading, but still showed solid growth at 55.0. These indicators are important because they provide valuable insight into the health of the economy, helping professionals and leaders make informed decisions. Overall, July's data suggests that the service sector is bouncing back, and while the pace of growth may not be as fast as before, it's still on an upward trend, which is a positive sign for the broader economy. As the election approaches, there's growing speculation that a Democratic sweep could be on the horizon once again. While the presidential race has seen some shifts in polling over the past few months, the numbers for the House and Senate races have remained relatively stable, reflecting a very tight contest for control of both chambers. The generic ballot poll, which is a key indicator of which party might win the most seats in the House, shows Democrats with a slight edge, leading by about 8 percentage points. This small advantage suggests that the race for the House is incredibly close, and control of the chamber could go either way. In the Senate, the battle is just as fierce, with polling showing an evenly matched race that could come down to a handful of key states. As we get closer to Election Day, these tight margins indicate that every vote will count, and the outcome could have significant implications for the direction of the country. A Democratic sweep, while still uncertain, is looking increasingly plausible as the race tightens, making this election one of the most closely watched in recent history. The stakes are high, and the results will shape the political landscape for years to come. While the dynamics of the race has clearly shifted, with Vice President Harris gaining momentum since she entered the race. Initially, the average of all head-to-head polls showed her with a modest lead of around 1 percentage point, but that margin has steadily grown over time. Now, when looking at the most recent polls, conducted entirely in August, her lead has expanded to about 3 percentage points on a national level. This is significant because it indicates that her support is not just stable but increasing. At various times, President Biden had led in national polls, but Harris's current numbers are surpassing even his highest points. This shift suggests that Harris is solidifying her position and gaining ground, making her a strong contender as the race progresses. The trend is clear. Harris is gaining traction with voters, and her increasing lead reflects a growing confidence in her candidacy. This could have a major impact on the race moving forward, as her rising popularity signals a potential change in the political landscape. As the campaign continues, all eyes will be on how this momentum develops and what it could mean for the outcome. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.